Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sara.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
So we got invited and we went to see our mentor and friend and colleague, Stephanie, go and speak to her largest stage thus far. And so we went in support and solidarity with her, with two other women that we had not ever met before, Anna and Sydney. And she knew that we would all vibe really well. But I think once we were all really there, we were like, yep, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And this conference was a very femme fatale, very go be truly in all your feminine essence, wear what you want to wear, be who you want to be, break the ceiling, the arbitrary, ropes that bind you. And I was telling my mom yesterday, I was like, it was also probably the most international conference that I had. Because we go to a lot of business conferences and yes, we're connected with Kairos. So we're very much in that field. But even then, it's not like we get a ton of international Kairos that come over Australia or Europe or South America or anything, Canada, come into the area as often. But I felt like majority of the speakers were based out of another country because this was all to online coaches and entrepreneurs, mostly, not a lot of brick and mortars. And so it was really cool to hear some of these women's stories and their missions, and that and obviously hear Stephanie. She did her talk on the first day. She absolutely crushed it. She was so dynamic and so awesome. And then we got to relax and kind of chill from then on.
So the fun part about this whole thing, not only just to call out and celebrate, if you guys listen back to this past episode with Stephanie Wigner, she actually called out that she wants to be asked, putting on in the universe that she's going to be speaking on stage. It's stages that were a lot larger. And so this obviously happened. And that's really kind of where the invitation also came. It's she spoke it up on our podcast for the first time, which is so freaking fun to hold space for that and to be able to go. And for me, this was definitely out of my comfort zone type of a conference, y'all. As Marisa alluded to, is definitely very eclectic, very feminine in a lot of ways, in a very, very good way. It was pretty much I had to buy different outfits to even go to this conference, to be able to feel like I was actually not going to just be the outsider almost. And so, but that part itself, I think putting yourself into situations that really get you out of your comfort zone and may even also trigger you, because those are moments to where you get to also then reflect and ask yourself the question. It's well, why is this out of your comfort zone, and why does this feel like it's so triggering? Because if you don't ever put yourself in those type of situations, how are you going to know anything deeper within yourself to a certain degree? And so the beautiful part too of the morning, it was Stephanie and I first, and I just want to tell this story because I think it's so out there for people, because this was so out there for me, but it was also one of the coolest gifts that I got to experience. And so there was one of the speakers that was there. This was probably one of my biggest takeaways of the whole conference, of just being so authentically yourself, even if it may be so freaking triggering for so many other people. And to where there was this lady, her name is Mama Gina. She basically is an online coach for people that are seeking pleasure. And I know for a lot of you guys that are, if you may be hearing it may be what in the world? I was telling some people and they were kind of giving me this side eye, what are you talking about? And I'm so I want you to hear this with an open heart and an open mind at the same time. And I won't give you all the details, but it was just one of those moments where I remember sitting in a room of literally close to 1,000 people thinking wow, we're about to experience something that's just really special. And this lady was incredibly iconic and really knew how to not only just move a room, but also invite you into a space that could feel really uncomfortable for you, no matter, let's say you've even had some sexual trauma, or you've had some physical trauma, or you've had domestic violence, you've experienced something that, or just for a lot of women, like we may not even necessarily know how to get in touch with the intimate side of ourselves when it comes to the feminine aspect of you, to your pelvic floor, to lower, all that type of stuff. And so, and I think for me personally, because I've experienced some sexual trauma, I think I have been very closed off for what it looks like for intimacy for myself, but also, and this has been something my husband and I have had to navigate, to be purely honest, like it's, we've been married, and so it's just kind of a special space to be able to understand. It's like we're going in and I'm getting to hear this lady. I'm going to actually use the word. So she literally used the word pussy so many times. Not gonna lie. And so, but it was really more of this place of like, use it in an empowering way, not just in a place to where you're de-stimulating your own power almost. And so, and there was a part where she actually had a song come on, and she had asked the crowd for some, like, what are some things that are getting in your own way? And one of the girls, and like, what are the things that are getting in your own way, but also what is some of your biggest desires? And there was one girl that came up and she was like, I have this big desire to really empower women and to share more about my story on big stages, all that type of stuff. And she's like, okay. So that's great and all, but I want you to actually dance to this song. You're going to do like a walk down this aisle. I looked at Steph and be like, I would be shitting my freaking pants if that was me. Are you kidding me? At first, I was being volunteered to walk down the aisle and dance, and then share how how it felt as you were describing your desires. And so this lady, full out, I was so freaking proud of her. And again, a room of 1,000 people just went full out and danced and let loose. But then the way that she described it, she's like, I feel much more alive and free, comparable to what I was just describing you. And it feels more vibrational, feels more magnetic now as I'm describing what I want to experience. And she's like, so that was just a cool moment of like, man, it's like sometimes when we just get out of our own way, and you can really step into a space of trusting yourself, letting yourself flow. Like, you and I took a video in the bathroom. I was like, what am I doing with my body? Like, what's happening right now? I don't even know how to move my freaking body, like, so it's like, there's this like reality and rhythm that's just, sometimes you just got to get out of your own mother effing way, because you're going to realize so much about yourself in those moments. And it was just really special for me to be able to watch other people do that and also experience that same thing. And just to open it up for myself, like to be in a space where it's just so freaking beautiful, and you just never know what will come, and what the universe, what God is wanting to teach you when you get uncomfortable and when you put yourself in situations that are triggering, especially if you're not going in with a judgmental heart. I think in our society too, we can also be so judgmental to other things or things that we don't know. So we limit ourselves to the experience and to what we're supposed to learn from it. And so I went into this place, in this whole conference, very, very open-minded, and I got so much from it. It was so freaking cool. That's just one of the stories.
I think just one. I think I think that was the point, right? Of it just being like such an opening experience. I mean, the conference was called Living Brave.
Mhm.
The theme around the whole thing really was surrender, but like surrender to be able to walk through with less obstruction, like surrender to be able to move forward in flow, like surrender to be able to not block yourself because you're so honed in and focused on trying to have control that you're literally, again, preventing life from doing what it can do for you, from like coming in and surprising you, because you're just so focused on certain pillars or certain blocks or certain ways that you think that you have to do something or experience life. And it was just cool to be able to be in a room with other people, other women mostly, that were really just like looking forward to connecting the dots after life is flowing and happening, versus trying so hard to predict and see where life is supposed to be going based off of the decisions that we have made in our making. One of the most profound moments for me really was, again, just reminders of the limiting beliefs. It's a very interesting season of life I'm in right now. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of changes, and a lot of intention that go behind those moving parts. especially when it comes to business. And there was a woman who was on stage sharing her story and about a time where she literally just had to get fully present with herself in the mirror and just be like, you are not a failure if your business fails. Like, you are not a failure if X fails. And you hear that over and over so many times, right? And you tell yourself these things over and over. But sometimes someone or you say something to yourself and it just hits you in that moment based off of that season with what you're navigating at that time. And when there's so much that I'm navigating and putting intention behind the decisions that we're making as a business owner, as a wife, as a future mother, like, it was just so powerful and beautiful to hear that. And then just the immediate release of like, you have such an incredible, abundant, successful, like, beautiful life that you're living right now. Like, what is all of the evidence of that already versus you trying to control what is happening in your life right now and what abundance needs to look like for that next season versus just like, we're already there, right? And so like I had 2 whole pages of notes just celebrating all of the things that have happened over this last year, 3 years, 5 years, like the changes I made and where I am now. So, and just the celebration of like, you're living, you're breathing, you're alive. I'm a woman. Like, I love this. I love wearing fire and diamonds on a red dress. Like, I embody all of that. Like, where do we find ourselves getting disconnected from those small, simple things that bring us joy because our brain is so focused on what we have to do that we forget to, like, again, romanticize the life that we're already living and find moments to just celebrate and experience them. And so it just always, again, it's not nothing new that we haven't discussed or talked about, but just sometimes it's that reminder, right? Because those false identities, those wounds, they're they're always a part of us. Like, they're always woven into the fabric. And so it's the, oh yeah, recognition, like, oh yeah, hold on, like, it doesn't need to lead this crusade. And the more and more you do this heart work, the more and more you pick up on those recognitions, the more and more when you hear someone share something about their story, it resonates with you, the more that you pull yourself through and you recognize those patterns within yourself. And I just thought that that was awesome.
It is really cool because then I feel like for at least for you watching you for the whole weekend, it was something that the moment that settled and that recognized, then like then the light that is evidence of Marisa, if you know Marisa in her presence and all of that, it literally just continued to be stoked and shined throughout the whole weekend. And then the reminders of that light of what you already have and the abundance that's already flowing through you to reconnect to that, not just continue to reconnect to the things that you want to accomplish, do literally to see a rich life for yourself, but what is already rich for you in this current moment. So it is wild how things then can totally come into alignment when you have those like reflections and those reminders. You're going to see it everywhere, like literally, I think you and I both had those moments of like, you're going to literally freaking see it. Everything, single thing you read, you talk about, like breathe in all of it.
Speaking of reading, we may have had special moments with certain oracle cards.
We may have.
Mine, it was literally called Focus on the Light.
Yeah.
So that was the theme. The theme this weekend, focus on the light. Life mirrors you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the more powerful quotes too, and I forget who said this. I don't know if it was Shoshana. It might have been. She was the host of this conference. And she said, you don't need to be like loved. Your presence is literally felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to go in there and just focus on trying to be loved and trying to be liked by what you do and how you show up. Like, how you show up and what's radiating from you is going to be felt. So if you show up with insecurities, it's going to be felt. If you show up in anger, it's going to be felt. Like, that emotional status has a frequency, has an energy, has a radiation. But if you just show up as you, your essence, your light is just going to be felt. And that's all you have to show up and worry about.
One of the things for another just thing for me, I feel like I've been just in a season that I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this where it's like you're asking the question, what is it that I want?
Mm.
It's pretty much where I feel like I've been in for the past little bit. And that asking yourself that question can sometimes feel incredibly paralyzing because then you don't know what to do with any decision. And that's kind of what I felt where I was like, like all I know to do is show up in the moment. But that also felt like, okay, well, is that all I'm doing? Like it just felt so funny. Like it felt for just this past season a little bit. And there's so much beauty in it because I feel like God really brought me to that place of like realizing it's like, hey, you're kind of chasing some of these other things and you're chasing some aspects of stuff that doesn't mean that they're not for you. They're just out of timing and out of alignment for you right now. And so I want to be able to bring you back to what is actually meant for you, your potential, your lane right now. And per what Marisa alluded to, we were reading some cards. We actually the setting was just us, no makeup, literally workout clothes, just pajamas, and just us five ladies. And it was just one of those moments I think all of us will remember for a very, very long time because it was something that sometimes when you're also in a presence with people, some of it's not the words that are spoken, it's what you're feeling, and it's what is felt and what is being able to be related. And for me in that moment, the cards that were drawn and what I was reading, it was very much literally, as I just already said about Marisa, it's like those things that are so in alignment. It's the reminder. Every single thing that was said was to draw me, at least for my story, back to what I care so much about is the heart and following my heart. And how one of my cards was literally like, it's a defender. So it was talking about darkness and how darkness can steal you away from the intended. And I interpreted that of like that darkness of the things that I'm seeking that are not necessarily in alignment for me, at least. And so it was very emotional and just such a beautiful spiritual moment of God saying, like, yes, I see you, I hear you. And also, I'm all advocating for you to be present. I have so much goodness and beauty and love and light and abundance for you. And also, right here in this moment, all you need to do is stay present, remain, and trust, and advocate for your heart because that is what you are so freaking passionate about. I'm so passionate about that for myself, but I'm also so passionate about that for every other person that I talk to. And so, it was just wild and beautiful and every single one of us that were in that room had those moments for themselves, which is so fun because it's not something that you need to have everybody else's experience. I think that's also such a reminder for myself, but also for other people is like so many times we want somebody else's life or we want somebody else's story because you think it may be better than yours or you're looking for something else to fulfill you versus what is inherently gifted to you. And it was just really cool because I could relate to everybody else in that room, but I didn't have to relate to that exact story of theirs because it wasn't my story, but I could relate in the sense of understanding what was being spoken to them that was just so beautifully inherently their gift and what they were being spoken to and talked to in that moment. And then again throughout the whole weekend. It was just one of those beautiful reminders like we don't need to chase other people's stories. We have our own and they can relate and be so freaking beautiful for ourselves.
But I think that's like that that is such the point of heart work and like
Yeah.
knowing yourself is because then you you know that inherently that you come to the table with your own story, your own life, your own gifts that you need to follow path and follow strength to versus someone else who may not be as in tune, but here's someone else reading a card that talks about how they're about to get 1,000 downloads and they need to be open and remain intuitive and be able to share that gift with the world. And they're like, what are my downloads? What do I need to share with the world? And it's like, even just that question pulls you further from where you are at in your journey and where life is calling you into. And I think that that room and that moment was so powerful because you had five incredibly self-aware individuals, high frequency, highly in touch people that care about personal growth and the growth of each other and the discovery of each individual person, that we were actually able to hold space in that moment to focus and celebrate on the person that was in that discovery place in that moment with themselves and hold it and curate it and care for it because of the work that we had already individually started and have started to do versus someone else who may have been in there and hasn't. You start to feel that energy of lack or jealousy or desire or, well, is my card a positive card that shares about all these good things coming my way, or is my card just a you need to reflect on yourself and stay connected to you way? Like, well, that wasn't as good of a card as what that person got. Like then you totally take away the focus from what that purpose was supposed to be. And so I feel like it was also just a product of us as individuals and how we showed up to that really made that so special. So yeah, like shout out Steph for just bringing these really cool people together. Shout out Anna for like bringing along the cards and just having something fun for us to do. And shout out Sara and Sydney for like holding space for us to be able to all do that as well. It was really it was a really beautiful, fun weekend, and it allowed us to meet others. And we had a beautiful dinner on Friday night as well with other entrepreneurs in the Denver area that are connected in and know stuff, and had some great conversations. And it's just life is so much fuller when you are just showing up as you and you can actually experience what's going on in the moment because you're not focused on performing your way through it.
Right.
It's just great.
So great. So we would love to encourage you. I think one of the biggest things, like we were talking about, the takeaways from this weekend of trust that your story is yours. And at the end of the day, put yourself in situations that are going to get you out of your freaking comfort zone.
Yep.
And let yourself sit in it. Be in places to where it's like, hey, this may feel a little funky. It may feel a little stretchy. It may feel a little bit, I'm not really sure what I feel type of a feeling. But those are beautiful, beautiful moments of really asking them the question of like, okay, what am I being taught? What am I trying and being invited into? And also just know it's like, goodness, like you just never know. I think we all said this from this weekend. We could never have predicted that over a year ago we would have been in that room and we would have been in that situation. And life is just so freaking beautiful. And you have a story already being written for your life. You just have to trust it and show up. And if you show up as your freaking full self, magic, mother effing happens. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!